Good night and welcome to Mindful Live 401. Thank you for being here. I'm your host Nathan Springer. Yeah, it is the 24th of May in the year of our Lord 2024. The 24th of the 5th of 2024 in the beautiful Paradise Isles of Trinidad and Tobago, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, where we have paradise on earth, and apparently we aren't a real place, and God is also a citizen. So are the rumors. So we have it unique. So join me as we talk about news, politics, culture, all of that good stuff as we peruse through that stuff. And we also talk about education, because I don't always say it, but this is brought to you by Mindful Education. That's the educational institution that I run. We offer learning pods for learning stages from preschool all the way up to CXC, and most CXC and CAPE subjects we offer them as private one-on-one tuition also, if you are interested in that. Jesus careers are more important than childbearing. Are you saying that's what modern people say, or are you saying that as a statement of belief, that you believe careers are more important than childbearing? Because if that's the case, I just say try a thought experiment. Oh, that's what modern women say. Oh, well, whew, I just wanted to make sure that's not what you say, because a thought experiment would reveal the truth in that. If we erased all careers but left childbearing existent, humanity will continue on. If we erased all childbearing but left careers existing, well, then that's the end of humanity in a short time. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Ronnie? This isn't the topic. It's not exactly the topic tonight. It's just something browsed done because someone said that Mr. Anil Roberts made some comments similar to that. I don't know the statements he made. I don't know the context he made it in. And he is an abrasive orator. You know, his speeches aren't exactly the things that are drizzled with honey in terms of their tone and tenor, so it won't be surprising if it's taken the wrong way. I didn't see the Anil video, so I'm talking in ignorance here. What did he say, Ronnie? Was anything he said particularly offensive? Where can I find that? That's on Facebook. He was right. G says, what our social drag young women when they get pregnant. Our society? I'd say sometimes, but usually it's young women who get pregnant out of wedlock. For 2 seconds. Well, we aren't Anil Roberts and his video isn't the topic that we're starting off today with, but of course we can figure out exactly what's going on there. What's going on, Ronnie?
I just commented on for 2 seconds because literally my TikTok follow this Anil thing, right? And first thing first, the girl was very rude and she deserved every single thing that I'm telling you. And she could have said even rude out to her. Because she walked up to the man like, congrats on your sperm, baby. Babe, you initiated the conversation and then vexed that the man said what he had to say. And he wasn't even rude about it. He was just telling her like, you know, yeah, Daddy, thank you. She was just saying, he was telling her like, you know, about basically the same thing when on you that the footballer had gone about childbearing and being a mother and all of these sisters, and the woman, she initiated the conversation and then lands on sale. That's fine, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, so she initiated the conversation, and then after she said congratulations on the spoon baby, he was like, I guess he said that he was kind of like taken aback by it, but spoon baby, obviously, that's offensive too, right? And then she went on to say, nah, I don't want to share, and I'm not ready for sure, and and you telling me, man, none of this is necessary. None of this is necessary. So if you ask me, she owed that whole sale. And I'm confused by the woman that come and why he had to say that and all of this and all of that. Why she had to say what she said? She could have just keep pushing. She can't mind she business.
I'll be able to make a more concise comment when I've seen all of this song. This sounds like some stiff bacchanal. Where is all of this? TikTok? There's TikTok bacchanal?
Yeah, on TikTok. I saw it on TikTok.
All right. Well, you could link me in the Discord server.
You didn't want to know I was talking to you, but oh gosh, I got busy today.
I'll have to catch up on what that bacchanal is. But many people are offended by that. I'm not surprised if people are offended by statements about trying motherhood and that side of thing, because many people take that as an insult. And as I said when we were discussing that previously, there's something that, especially for women, requires some introspection there. You have to consider, why has this narrative been sold so much, and why has it been bought so well? Records was mixing and 6 was hitting. All right. I'll go see all those 6s hit at some other point in time. But as of now, we're talking about CXC. It's May, and CXC come with the bacchanal again. Every single year, CXC and their bacchanal. At some point in time, people have to say, is enough. CXC, we ready to call it quits. We are ready to leave this abusive relationship. It's not me, it's you. And it's not going to work anymore. Well, I don't know, Ronnie. I don't know. I know nothing about it. All right. Caribbean Coalition for Education Redress wants to scrap CXC. For another year, the Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, has been criticized for being fatally flawed in the structuring and administration of exams following a series of reported issues across the region. In an interview on CNC3's The Morning Brew program, Caribbean Coalition for Education Redress, spokeswoman Paula Ann Moore said, "There is something fundamentally wrong with the governance of CXC by the Caribbean community, CARICOM body, suggesting that an overhaul of the Examination Council is desperately needed. The children are demoralized, frustrated, disgusted by the lack of care and concern that is being demonstrated," Moore said. And the thing is, nearly every year, this bacchanal raises its head. But here's part of the problem. It's such a specific bacchanal on people in such specific regions of life and living, as it were. So, okay, you're in Form 5, you face this, but after you write CXC and you move on with your life, you're ignoring this for the rest of your life. You don't care. You don't even take on CXC news anymore. You really don't care. It traumatized you for your 1 year, and now you're over that. The next time you're going to care is in how many other decades next, when you have your children and then you have to face the bacchanal again. Luke, in talking about what we were previously relating to, his suggestion is fine, but I assume people don't like when others tell them what their purpose is. And you don't have to like that, but it's a reality. It's a reality, that's like when we were talking at the end of the conversation last night, and someone was talking about, it's not religion, it's spirituality is what we need. And to me, that's the whole thing. That's that same thing. We have a culture where people are so easily offended, they believe that it's their right to never be told reality. That my feelings are preeminent, and you cannot tell me things that would hurt me or put me in a box. But there are boxes. There's reality. So someone can tell me what my purpose is. And it's unique in that we have sold this narrative where it's offensive for us to tell each other our purpose as relating to the primary institution of society, family. But if a boss, your CEO, tells you your purpose and pays you $180 a day to do it, that's fine. I can prostitute my purpose out to a CEO for $200 a day, but heavens forbid that within the constraints of family, we are purpose-oriented and people direct us as such. Oh no, that's offensive. with the couple account recently had his front teeth knocked out. Well, knocked, but it broke or something. Oh, that's Anil Kenetta James, the two of them. Oh, if that's the case, I know who that is. Okay. Word. Back to CXC again. Since the start of the May-June 2024 exam period, several issues have been raised, such as the distribution of the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, principles of Accounts Paper 2 at unnamed regional centers. CXC has announced that an investigation has been launched. Additionally, discrepancies with this year's Caribbean Advanced Proficiency CAPE Chemistry Paper 2 have been highlighted. According to reports, 25 to 30% of exam questions were unrelated to CXC's prescribed list of objectives for the unit. In response, an online petition has been launched supported by over 2,500 teachers and students demanding a readjustment of the marking criteria for this year's exam. There are challenges, but year after year we have the same issue again. It is not good enough. Collectively, we are letting down our children. And frankly, parents, teachers, governments, and CXC, we are all responsible for the mental damage and the harm to education and career prospects we are perpetuating against our children, Moore said. Moore, who is also a parent advocate from Barbados, claimed that despite concerns being raised by the public yearly, CXC continues to ignore their pleas. This, she adds, has prompted some to opt out of the region's exam process, some strongly pleading for CXC to be scrapped and for the reinstallment of Cambridge exams throughout the region. People have said enough is enough. 50 years after CXC, they want a new organization. They want to go back to Cambridge. Parents that can afford it have left the public school sector and they've gone private to other exam bodies, she said. Moore continued her call for there to be an independent review of the examining body, as well as a panel to ensure CXC follows global best practices for administering exams, but she adds that this can't happen if CARICOM governments do not intervene and allow CXC to have diplomatic immunity. I personally, as a proud CARICOM citizen, would like our indigenous body to remain and do better, but it seems as if they are unwilling or perhaps unable to change course, admit there's a problem, and fix the problem. Here's the thing. I have seen this too, and I don't blame people at all. If you as a parent look at CXC, look at the Caribbean Examinations Council, and you figure this thing doesn't seem like it makes sense and you have the resources, I could see it making a lot of sense for you to attempt to get your child in an exam stream with something else. You see, as the advocate said here, I think she used the right word, where CARICOM seems to give CXC diplomatic immunity. It's like nobody really understands what is going on in CXC, but CARICOM refuses to use their power to adjust it to actually care and cater for people's needs. So we all must face this torturous thing year in, year out. And as I said, I understand why a lot of people aren't concerned. It doesn't bother a great number of people, because if you already wrote CXC, then that's of no concern to you. If you don't have a child that is currently in the CXC stream for it to be written, then again it's of no concern to you. This is obscure, strange, weird news out there. But every year thousands of children face this issue, and this is, as it were, the launching point of adulthood in the Caribbean. This is after the point of writing CXC is where you're a big man or a big woman really and truly in the Caribbean. You could go out and get a job with these passes. So it's a significant thing. This is a significant milestone. It's a significant landmark in the coming of age of Caribbean youth. And to think that we just give this to an obscure, opaque organization that answers to no one, that gives no real feedback, what are we doing? Like, to me, an organization like this that has the fate of the entire cadre of youth of young people in the Caribbean, an organization like that is supposed to be extremely responsive. We are supposed to always know the intricate details of the goings on in an organization like that, because that kind of holds the future of our children in their hand. That's not something we are supposed to just leave up in the air for someone to take care of. Hopefully they do it well. No, that's ridiculous. And obviously CXC is not doing well at it. And it seems like part of the issue is they have archaic measures and methods that they are very slow to update. When you are doing a Caribbean-wide exam and the exams are being written in one area, the safety protocols need to be exceptional. And then we're having this issue continually where who sets these exams? Who are the examiners that write these exams? Are they in close contact with the syllabus, with the people who write the syllabus and the people who give guidelines to the teachers? Are they? Like, let's think about this realistically. How could we have individual ministries of education all throughout the Caribbean, each with individual mandates to see about the children in their own country, using their own norms and mores and focus and goals, etc. But we have one body that sets the exam for everyone in the entire Caribbean. Does that make sense? You know, I remember when the PDP won over in Tobago, there was talk about, adjusting the Tobago syllabus in the schools in Tobago for there to be a more Tobagonian focus on the academics in the schools. And here's the thing, I actually don't have a problem with that. That makes sense. I like ideas like that, where you have a more localized nearly everything. Great for that. Oh, Trinity, I don't mind that. But how is that going to actually come into effect when there's the overall grouping of CXC that actually writes the exams and marks it? Is the British system anything like ours? I know the US isn't. What do you mean? Which part of the system? Because if you're talking the standard 1, standard 2 into secondary school and stuff, yes. Our system mimics the British system in terms of that. And when you write exams, etc., yes, there's a bit of mimicking there. The content in the GCE and the Cambridge exams, it isn't a great deal different than ours also. It isn't a great deal different. But if you want to leave, that doesn't help. What doesn't help if you want to leave? And, in what CXC does, and in terms of the controlling of our entire education system, there was another article I saw jumping up inside this. But if you want to leave, that doesn't help in localized education. Here's the thing, I don't think that would hurt. I think because a localized education isn't going to be localized in terms of mathematics. It will be localized in terms of things like history, in terms of things like social studies. So you could have a localized understanding of history as pertaining to how it orients your local region pertaining to the world. That makes sense, doesn't it? So yeah, and even in more STEM-oriented subjects, something where the order of the teaching also could be changed, as in what topics come first, what topics come second. Those things can be tweaked. I don't think that's going to harm you in terms of leaving. Not exactly. What I'm talking about is in terms of the marking, the exams at the end, the full thing. There's one exam for the entire region because CXC controls it. And in that, then is where you see the problems with the one examining body for the entire region. there are unique differences. Some schools focus in some areas more than some. Shouldn't it be that a Ministry of Education for a localized body should have some say on this? Like, in my book, I could see a local examination body working just as well as a Caribbean examination body. If we're looking for that global reach, then best we go with something like Cambridge and do that and finish. But if we're looking for something localized, why not get more local? Because I don't think the one body in Barbados that doesn't answer to the parents works well. It's nearly reminiscent of the colonial kind of feel. Like, if I want to go to that distant examination body, then let me go to Cambridge, something that is much more established. If it is that we're going to take some shaky, not answering the public and all, well then I'll take that with a local body. Why would I do that regional? G says, I prefer the US way. To me, that's least stressful. I don't know. I don't know if I'll say that. Because well, I don't know if I'll say in terms of preference. Because to me, stress isn't a determining factor in education. I don't think the aim of education is to not stress your child. Like, learning has difficulty, and if you want to learn more, it's going to be a bit more difficult. So I don't think the aim is to not stress them, and the customer focus of the US system, where they look to focus more on the child and what the child wants and the child this and the child's that, I think that runs out of benefit pretty swiftly. And it ends up being more disadvantageous in the long run. And I think if you look at the results in the US system, you kind of see the evidence of that now. Let's look at another decision CXC has recently made, and see if we appreciate this in terms of how they're directing our educational system. CXC Teachers Association alarmed by CXC's decision to phase out several subjects at CSEC and CAPE levels. Reports have emerged that 4 subjects are to be discontinued by the Caribbean Examination Council at the CSEC and CAPE levels. The subjects are Agricultural Science Double Award and Mechanical Engineering at the CSEC and CAPE levels, as well as Electrical and Electronic Engineering and Technology and Green Engineering. Yes, CXC has decided they are going to phase out these subjects. They aren't going to write exams for them anymore. And they aren't going to mark them. The reason given, reports indicate that the decision was taken due to low uptake by students. One of the CXC registrars, I believe, the CXC registrar, when speaking about that, I believe they said the reason, part of the reason was the low uptake, yes, but also that it had little educational value. Little educational value was one of the terms used for why they got rid of it. I didn't even know those were there. Am I old, really? Well, maybe you did. Maybe you went to a 7-year school or something like that, so you weren't aware of the technical and vocational subjects. But MET, mechanical engineering, electrical, agri-science, those things have been in CXC for a very long time. And the idea being that students who may not be as academically gifted, in that vein, that they aren't physics, maths, English, the straight sciences kind of people, that they could get an advantage on mechanical engineering, technician train, on that train, by actually doing it for CXC. That they could get a head start on the agricultural train by actually doing it for CXC. And that way you have variety in the options. Yes, and I think it's a great thing. And I spoke about, we speak about this regularly when we bring up when we bring up education, and I think it's a positive thing. I think it's a positive thing to have these options, because there are children who are not going to perform as well in the straight academics. And if all you leave are straight academics, what are we doing to those children? What is the expectation we have to have of those children? And when you listen, one of the main people complaining out there in Jamaica is the Jamaican Teachers Association. You see, there's a problem when you take out subjects from CXC. What do you do with the teachers? There are teachers who would be losing their jobs. And you see, this is the point I'm making. If we're trying to get a more localized kind of education system, where we want a body that's closer to the Caribbean, that understands us more, fine. Well, then let's have a localized body that does that, and they would actually grade things like grade subjects that are technical and vocational and are within the scope of benefiting the Caribbean. But if you're telling me that all we are going to do is stick with the hard, rigid subjects of math, English, and the sciences, etc., etc., well, then let's go with the oldest examination body that has been doing that. Why would we have the worst of both worlds? Unacceptable. Principals alarmed as CXC casts uncertainty over 4 vocational subjects. The principals of some local technical high schools expressed alarm on Tuesday over initial reports that the Caribbean Examinations Council would be suspending 4 vocational subject areas next year, arguing that their schools would be most affected. Describing the non-certification of these subjects by CXC as a slap in the face, principal of St. Elizabeth, this is from Jamaica just by the way, St. Elizabeth Technical High School, Keith Wellington, said the regional agency's explanation of low enrollment is insufficient. The truth is CXC is only examining the subjects. They don't bear the cost of teaching the subjects, so their only concern is that they are unable to bear the cost to examine the subjects, and we find that this is unacceptable. In particular, when you bear in mind that CXC was set up by the governments of the region, first of all, to provide greater opportunities for our students to be certified, and essentially to remove what existed then, which was mainly Britain-based exams, he said. And the point he is making is, what is CXC complaining about as if their cost is so large? Why is CXC complaining that there aren't enough students enrolling in the exams? As if that CXC business really and truly. All CXC needs to concern themselves about is writing the exams and correcting it. Each individual territory pays for the teachers themselves. So what's your business with low enrollment? What does that bother you? And that is actually a good point. Why is that of concern to CXC? To me, the subjects that CXC decides to examine should be something that's dependent on decisions made by the ministries of education in the different territories, not some random decision and not enough students writing this exam, so we're going to stop doing it. What? Who gave you that power? Well, we know that CARICOM gave you that power, but why are we giving them that power? That does not make sense. What money are they going to save? Are they aiming at saving money by not doing these examinations? How much money will they be saving? And whose money is it? He noted that his school offers a number of technical and vocational education and training subjects, which sees an average of 30 students sitting CSEC exams for each subject area yearly. And you know, this is one of the problems with big governance on a whole. When you get big governance, and that's why I said, as I keep saying, it's either we go local or we go fully international and done. The problem with the big governance is that the individual doesn't matter. So, CXC, if 150 students write the subject every year, that's still 150 students. Okay, so it doesn't average in the tens of thousands as the other subjects do, but that would be 150 students deprived of a subject that they want to do because you say so. And it's not like the areas of knowledge are not profitable in the job scope. That's untrue. Many people who do those studies go on to work in those areas. Like you go speak to the senior SEC graduates. Speak to senior SEC graduates from before 2006, before 2005. Anyone who graduated from a senior comprehensive, and ask them about the technical and vocational subjects. And you recognize that many welders in Trinidad started welding in school. They learned welding in school as a subject. Many mechanics started off with mechanical engineering technology, MET, in school, learning it as a subject, learning the technical side. Some of these guys you see that start doing these trades and you think they're just quacks, they're just doing it off of guess. No, they actually had formal learning with their T-square walking in school, learning how to do those angles. And I think that's a positive thing. Even if someone failed some of those technical and vocational subjects, the fact that you gave them the ability to go into a lab and interact with this kind of real world work atmosphere from that age, it awakens something in many of those young men especially. And when you consider that one of the problems we are facing in education right now is boys and young men staying in the educational field and performing well, that's a main problem we are facing. And who do you think would be the people who would most likely do subjects like mechanical engineering, like electrical and electronic engineering, like green engineering? Who do you think would do those subjects? And by removing them, who are you sacrificing? Who suffers the most? Poor, lower class boys. And here's the thing. If we are going on the social engineering side, where we wonder what causes crime, what affects crime, who are the main foot soldiers of the gangs that are terrorizing our country currently? Poor, lower class boys. Further, he argued Sharing his disapproval of CXC's monopoly over terminal exams in the region, Wellington also noted that the move is in contradiction with the global push for more students to be engaged in the technical and vocational subjects and science, technology, engineering, and mathematics subject areas, viewed as critical for the emerging job market. Further, he argued that the decision by CXC may ultimately impact the availability of teachers. If these subjects are not offered as a part of the regular secondary school curriculum, it will eventually become impossible to find teachers to teach the subject area. Hence, there will eventually become an even greater shortage of teachers capable of teaching these subjects, he said. In a statement to the Gleaner, CXC said syllabus discontinuance is a response it has undertaken to address underperforming syllabuses. These syllabuses have successfully low entries, low rates of success, and limited educational value. RL says most successful families are on the back of hard-working, sacrificing fathers 100%, and that's why it's evil to want to dismantle the patriarchy, because that's all the patriarchy means. G says, I have a friend with 7 O-levels from Trinity College and he's making a full proper living as a mason. Masons make a lot of money, sir. If you know your job and you are reliable and dependable, you will make a lot of money doing masonry. You can easily break into 15,000 plus. And I'm talking about without having a big crew going around on multiple sites. If you're talking about making a full business and contracting company out of it, you're talking easily into the upper levels. I heard that CXC maths paper was hard. Yes, very. Like only a gifted student would get a 1 in that. So I did. Yes, it was hard. Had some strange questions, some questions that seemed a bit reminiscent of AdMaths even, and I don't know why. You know, I'm wondering, and they did a similar thing with the chemistry CAPE subject, and I'm wondering if some of this is in response to probably people like my brother, because there are many businesses coming up now that seek to make the difficult CXC experience much easier, walking students through it. So, for example, I know he did a video where he went through on those scientific calculators, how you could do basically almost all of the mathematical operations on not programmable calculators, the regular scientific calculators that are allowed. And now, apparently, in some of the examination centers, some of those invigilators are trying to take away those calculators because they believe that somehow those calculators are now programmable or something. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like, it's nearly in that Trinidad police kind of mode, I'm wondering, where it's like they're trying to do trickery to catch you breaking the law, more than just want people to obey the law to keep the place running well. So, like, the idea of this exam, the idea of an exam is to test to see how much of the subject area you know. The idea isn't to try and catch people to make them feel, what? Yes, they took the children's calculators, and I don't know what they're going to do about that. And like, there are several very unfair parts to this whole CXC business. So if year in, year out, one type of exam is given. Last year there was a leak or something like that, and everyone got the same grade or something to that level. Okay, that's last year math. Now this year math, you bring it as some kind of advanced genius exam. So if I get a 3 this year, I would have actually known more mathematics than someone who got a 1 last year. And then in that case, the exam does not even do what it says it intends to do. The idea is supposed to be, when I look at someone's exam certificate, and I see a 1 and I see the profile, whether it be A or B or whatever in the profiles, I'm supposed to be able to look at that and have an estimation of their capability and proficiency in that exam. and have a relative understanding of it too, because it's supposed to be the same grades that were graded since our parents wrote the exam are the same grades we have now. So you could compare your how much ever passes to your parents' own and see who did better. But can you really do that when the exams change in difficulty and nature by the year? How is that fair? If my 3 is worth your 1, how is that fair? When we go to university or to higher education and we want to, if you have 2023 grade 4, no, 2023 grade 3, that means, well, that person failed. They just happen to get a average pass. So we have to look at which year with the grade. It's not just the grade anymore. We have to compare the year and the grade because it's a very inconsistent thing. Has math changed in the last 50 years, or is it still basically the same? Yes, it is still basically the same. It noted that it conducted a survey with regional ministries of education in 2023. Based on the feedback, it took the decision to suspend syllabuses for a definite period, during which it will discuss options with territories before the period of suspension has ended. This, it said, may include halting suspension and reintroduction of the syllabuses if the demand has increased to the desirable level across the region. CXC people, that's our lovely CXC exams. Exactly right. If you remove the subject, which will decrease the teachers, which will decrease the availability, how are you going to get an increase in demand? But maybe some of these moves by CXC would ultimately be leading to its own demise. As the lady was saying, more and more people in the Caribbean are going private. You could decide to sign up for Cambridge. You could decide to sign up for SATs. You could decide not to write any CXC subjects at all. Your SATs could get you into university. Your Cambridge passes could get you into university. Are the secondary school children at a disadvantage to locals who attend Maple Leaf, for example? Well, yeah, they're at a disadvantage because most of the people who attend Maple Leaf are much wealthier. That's one of the main disadvantages. Now, like if you join Maple Leaf and you are a very poor person, the advantages may not necessarily be there. Okay, you do your schooling on a grade system, but so what? Do you have enough money to go away and do the studies that may precipitate from that? You'd still have to hope for a scholarship or something of the like, I guess. But that's our CXC. Our Caribbean Examination Council, out there to make sure that they do this for the benefit of the Caribbean people. You know, Caribbean-minded. No more agri-science. Switching pace here. Jumping in, my friends have children doing CXC all in convent, have their children in SAT lessons already. Yep. It's a very common thing now. SAT demand is on the rise. Switching lanes here to another story. And this story is in the line of red flags. Relationship red flags. Where, you know, when Dr. Rowley spoke about choosing men wisely, some people were upset about that. When people talk about which man you decide to spend your life and time with, many people say that, you know, sometimes you just don't know. You can't figure it out. These men are chameleons. You can't tell who they are before they really show their colors. Well, we're going to read an article on this and see that it seems, unfortunately, many people are not very good at spotting red flags. He killed 2 wives. A man who confessed to killing his second common law wife after being released from prison for killing his first wife will serve before being released. Even though Justice Devan Ramprasad yesterday sentenced 62-year-old Winston Joseph to 26 years imprisonment for the manslaughter of Anne-Marie Mack in 2003, when his guilty plea to manslaughter and the time he had already served in prison were taken into consideration, Joseph was left with just 5 months and 27 days to serve his complete sentence. Interesting on a whole in terms of our judicial system. This man was charged with murder in 2003. He was sentenced in 2024. By the time his sentencing was made, he had spent so long in prison that his sentence only has 5 months left for his second murder. That's the judicial system. Mack, who was his common law wife, was stabbed to death on October 4, 2003 at her industrial estate Diego Martin home during an argument. The killing took place just about 5 years after Joseph was released from prison after being convicted and sentenced for the manslaughter of his first common law wife, Pansy Wiltshire, who at the time was 5 months pregnant. She was strangled in Maloney Gardens in 1994. For that offense, Joseph was ordered by then High Court Justice Harold Coilas to serve 5 years imprisonment. However, Joseph only served 3 years and 8 months, with the prison authorities applying remission to his sentence. While the second killing took place in 2003, Joseph was not arrested until July 2007 while working at a construction site at Tragrate Road, Port of Spain. So this man was released for the murder of his first wife. And a second woman went to live with him, This man murdered his first wife. Yeah, you get released for murder. And by the way, the charge was eventually put to manslaughter. I don't doubt he pled it down, something like that. Love is love, G said. Love is love. And death is death. That's how it's serious. What do you mean how? Because manslaughter is a lesser charge. According to the facts in the second case, on the day of the incident, Mack's 2 children heard a commotion between their mother and Joseph around 5:30 a.m. Her son informed police that he heard the 2 quarreling and attempted to break up the argument, but Mack told him to not get involved. We're going through red flags here. So homie murdered his first wife. You came to be number 2. You're arguing with him. Mack, listen, Mack is the murdered woman. Mack is his common law wife. Her son attempted to break up the argument, and the wife, the victim, told the son not to get involved. He then went to a nearby spring to take a bath, and while doing so, he heard his mother's screams and saw Joseph running from the house. Your son came to your defense. You sent him away. Mac's daughter said she also heard the couple arguing. During the argument, the woman said she heard her mother say, "Not because you stabbed me up the first time, you feel you could come and do it again," before hearing her mother scream. So, there was a stab up the first time, and you were there for another time. So he murdered his first wife. You see the man and love him for whatever reason. He stabs you up and you live with the knowledge that he murdered his first wife. And I mean, I'm not insulting the woman. There's no insult to insult the woman. She died ultimately. She was murdered. She was killed. She faced the ultimate consequence. But many people along these lines say things like, you never know, you doesn't be able to tell. But you all think you wouldn't be able to tell from this. And the truth is, this is how a lot of these situations are. This is how a lot of these situations are. It's not like something out of the blue where a random, peaceful gentleman just erupted into Mr. Hyde from being Dr. Jekyll. And when he comes out, Dalip Jairam, I will not be surprised if he finds a third wife to settle down with him. Ronnie, about too old, he's 60. Yeah, 60. There are many 60-year-old men out there playing the field well. And I sure you have no pension. So if you don't have no money, no honey. Speaking about money and honey, let me dive into one more article for the night. One more article on this Friday night. Occasionally there's the Bacchanal in Trinidad, and occasionally we just browse the Bacchanal. Training Hotep, you're leaving for the juicy part. I'm just letting you know. Let's go through this story. And from the headline, it wouldn't sound like the story is supposed to be funny. But trust me, strange things in the story. Point 14 man acquitted of 2006 grape charge. A Point 14 man has been acquitted of a 2006 grape charge. The man was before Justice Cathy Ann Waterman Lachu and the jury in the San Fernando High Court charged with graping a woman at her home on October 3rd, 2006. The trial was held at the O'Meara Judicial Center, Arima. It was alleged that the man broke into the woman's house, slapped her, choked her, and then forced himself on her before running out of the house. In his evidence, the man said he and the victim knew each other and had planned to meet that morning. Instead, they met after midnight since he had to hide from his wife. It was his defense that he offered the woman $500 to have relations with him, and she agreed. He testified they had relations for 8 to 10 minutes, after which Mid-coitus, she asked him for more money before becoming loud and aggressive. He claimed he paid her $200 more so she would not make a scene as his home was nearby. Bear in mind, he is married and this is after midnight. The man said he told her he would not give her any more money, but she continued to behave aggressively, so he left. He said the woman only made a report against him because she was upset over the money she had received. But bear in mind, homeboy was acquitted, so the judge and jury seemed to have believed his version of events. His version of events seemed like it was the more likely outcome. And you know, I kind of believe it. I believe it. Homeboy went looking for trouble and he found it. Oh boy, did he find it. Isn't that a trap? Isn't that a trap? Catch you in a compromising position in an area where, you know, if this thing makes a scene, your whole cover will be blown. And then when I catch you with your pants down, literally, we start to make a scene. And we're extorting money. Pay me more. Pay me more. Or else I'm calling somebody. No. I'm calling your wife. Janice! Janice! Hey, look here. Take the money now. Do they have behind the scenes investigation in these things? I would presume so. I don't know how much behind the scenes it might even need to be, because the police investigate those things. There are police officers who would be involved, so yeah, there would be some investigation going on. Fellas, behave yourself. Don't go and look for no compromise inside of buildings close to your home like that and get yourself extorted. Problems. Plenty problems. And considering it, we're in 2024 and this man has been on this charge since 2006. And if this woman's intention was to be vindictive to the man because he didn't give her what she wanted, do you think she wouldn't have told every soul in their community? Because apparently she and him live near each other. Do you think she wouldn't have told every soul in the community that he was a rapist? And okay, 2024 we find out that wasn't the case. But since 2006, it has been spreading. And you know, like sometimes people say there should be prosecution for false accusations. And I agree, but it's a difficult thing. In a case like this, all right, even if the man has been freed and the court and jury by a balance of probability think he is telling the truth, do you want to throw that woman in prison in the off chance that she might in fact be telling the truth too? Hey, all right. Anyway, people, let's head in for a close. Any further questions or comments before I dive out? Court say man innocent, jail sheet. Nah, I don't know if I'd have a so stringent view. But how could it be proven, Rani? on a balance of probabilities. That's how most of those things work. Like, okay, working with the evidence we have, we feel most likely that's the case. But in something like that, would you want to make the chance of erroneously imprisoning a rape victim? And I agree, G. I agree, your name is spoiled for life, and that's horrible. And I mean, if you can prove a false accusation, I will support jailing the person. But it's a hard thing, because the last thing you would want is to throw a victim of rape in prison. That's horror upon horrors. But then again, innocent victims of false accusations of rape have been thrown in prisons too, so there may be some balance here. Ronnie says she thinks it's fine. You brutal, innit? But you're so brutal, and yet you wouldn't want to see somebody get some strokes on the promenade. But you're brutal, Ronnie. You're brutal. Alright, I feel like my batteries are dying on me, myself, not on any of the equipment. I'll see you guys again for the next Mindful Live. That's going to be tomorrow, Saturday Night Live. Tomorrow we have a Saturday Night Live. People, don't forget that I feel like we have to do something special with the Saturday Night Live. Like, you know, not just news. Maybe more just cultural stuff only. Maybe more pop culture, interesting stories. Something. We'll do something unique with the Saturday night. With the Saturday Night Live. I'll see you guys again for the next one, which is going to be then. Until then, people, hold it down. Stay safe. It's a Friday night. Stay inside. Don't go out there. It's sketchy. Laters, people. Bye.